Hello guys, I am Virgin Boy and I'm again with some new content. And this time I am gonna talk about one stuff which I recently saw, which was Endgame. So basically, in this movie, Avengers win. If you have not watched the movie, better go and watch it. Otherwise, if you have watched this movie, then this video is for you. I believe that Avengers Endgame is not a complete movie, or I should not say that it's a proper movie. Why? I think the perfect ending for MCU was the Infinity War only. Why? You may ask this question, that why I'm saying this. Because if you truly think about it, the concept of time travel, I know it's just a movie and it's all plot armor, but if you really think about it, like if you are a person who is living in that dimension, in that world, and may imagine that that world is real, then the concept of time traveling is as absurd as it can be. Like you are stronger than the Infinity Stones itself if you have the power of time traveling, and that's what we see here. See, in this case, the timeline of the Avengers in which they lose Thanos is the directors have trying to show us that that time is the time which Avengers correct it, or I should say that time is the time when Avengers tried to make it proper, to roll back the changes that happen in that particular timeline. Okay, now I may be little not clear, and I am not very good in English. So maybe my sentences are not properly found, but try to understand what I'm trying to say is that the movie in which Avengers are trying to correct the timeline is only one specific timeline. Okay, and one more thing, the Thanos who lost in this fight was the Thanos of 2014. You see what I'm saying? The Thanos who lost in the fight was the Thanos of 2014, and the Thanos who was killed was of the 5 years later. So basically, if let's say you have 60 seconds. Now, if the concept of time traveling is true, then in every particular second, there will be one instance of you who is living and breathing. Like what you are doing 1 second before will be different than what you are doing 1 second later. So the same thing follows for everybody, not just one particular person. And the same thing is what which we see here in this movie. In this movie, in one part, they go back to the 2014, and the Gamora is alive, even though she has been killed, but it's still alive. So what that proves it? See, a soul full of soul. To get the soul stone, you have to die, and you cannot bring the died person back. And but the same thing doesn't get follows, if you truly ask me, because when they go back in timeline, there's another scene in which they actually meet the person who have already been dusted back in 2019, or I should say 5 years later. So that means that even though Thanos loses at the end of the end game, and Tony Stark snaps and all the Black Order army dies, still they are literally not completely dead, because only the Thanos of the 2014 and his army, which is present in 2014, is dead. Or I should say, the army which he brings, some of 2019 and some from 2014, which time travel to the future, is dead. It was been dusted. The later on, all the Thanos before that and all the Thanos after that are alive. Even the Thanos of the year 2015 and 16 is also alive, if you truly ask me. Because even that 2014 was just one timeline from which Thanos traveled and came back here. Now, after doing the snap, if you go back, according to the movie concept, if you go back, and if it, like Steve Rogers says that he will go back and he will give back all the stones to the places where they were actually were. So if he go back to 2014 and goes to tries to find out Thanos, he will not find Thanos there, because Thanos is dead. But Thanos is only dead for that particular instance of time when in which he changes his course of direction. Before that, Thanos is still there. So if he goes a little more back, he will find out Thanos again there. And that's the biggest problem with this movie, because that's why I'm saying this movie is very flawed. Because see that even though Avengers will always win at the end, but that event is like trapped in one big time loop now. Why? Every time the past version of Thanos will keep on trying. See, all those Thanos are still alive before 2014 are still trying to figure out how to get the stones. So it is like that. Not always. It's not that they will always lose. Many of them will still go, still get the Thanos, still do the snap, and due to the course of action, the humanity will again half of the universe will still go will be dusted, and later on the aftermath of that will that the Avengers will again try, the left Avengers will again try, and that all this course of actions which we see in this MCU 20 movies will keep on repeating again and again and again and again, and the Infinity War events will keep on repeating again and again. So it's like at the end the Avengers will win, but for every timeline before they win they will actually lose. But as I say, the time is flawed. There is always everything which happens keeps on getting deviated a little. So maybe one of those Thanos will maybe come to know about it, even though he loses. That he loses. That's what I'm trying to say. Even I'm getting confused right now. One of those Thanos may have that 0.1% possibility, like the one that he may come to know that even though he snaps, he loses, because Avengers somehow are able to unsnap it and not just bring people back to life, but also destroy him in the process. So maybe one of those channels will come to know about it, and maybe then he will correct his actions, and this snapping event will never happen. The end game will actually never happen. And even if this again, it can end up in many of the different possible ways. So if you go through the course of actions of the MCU, where time travel is not allowed at all, and even though they have Eye of Agamotto, and Doctor Strange can only alter the time to some extent, like he can bring back the time to some extent, even not he cannot bring back time to complete extent. So if you really think about it, then it is very flawed movie, because they have tried to make Avengers win in a condition that is 100% game over for Avengers. Like there's only 1% chance of them to winning. So it is a very absurd thing if you truly ask me. Like in a real life scenario, I know it's just a movie, but if you truly think about this movie as a real thing, that in a real life scenario, if Thanos was real and Avengers were real, it will never happen, because the concept of time travel will never be come to know. Because if you have the power of time traveling, then you are the strongest being in the universe, because nothing, no matter how many times you get dusted, the past version of yourself will always find out a way to find out the technology and will utilize it to bring you back to it will utilize it not to bring you back but to undo the changes. Even Thanos can himself recourse himself from the actions if somehow he comes to know that in the future he got dusted or destroyed. But and that is a possibility there. That's a possibility there, because in one of the fight scenes, if we see that Gamora, if Gamora go back in time, then she will come to know everything about what happened. First thing. Second thing, also the Nebula, when they fight, she sees everything which is happening there. So she sees that Thanos is dead again. He lost again. So if the time traveling course of actions keep on happening again and again, one of the instances that when Gamora go back in time, all these things will combine together. But it will only happen in one case if the present Gamora will again go back in time. But that's not going to happen, I believe. But now I'm also getting confused a little. But the thing is, what I'm trying to say, if you're able to understand it, then the thing is that the time travel concept is very absurd, and that Thanos has not really lost in this fight in of Endgame. Only the 2014 version of Thanos has lost the fight. The all other Thanos are still alive and they're still trying to get their stones. That's all I want to say. And for me, the ending was the Infinity War itself. If you have to ask me about the ending of the timeline. Thank you.